Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य गौर भक्त वृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपी कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदानेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। बोलो श्री राधे गोलोकानंद भगवान की जय। बोलो श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। हरे कृष्णा तरुण।
Hare Krishna Gajen, Hare Krishna Jai.
हरे कृष्णा तरुण।
शुरू करते हैं। तो अभी लास्ट वीक हम लोग श्लोक 6 पढ़ रहे थे ऑफ चैप्टर 22, राइट। वी स्टार्टेड रीडिंग चैप्टर 22, चौथे स्कंद का 22वां अध्याय। एंड दिस अध्याय इज टू डू विद सनत कुमार अपीयर इन फ्रंट ऑफ महाराज पृथु। या सो जैसा कि हम लोग पिछले 1-2 अध्याय में देख रहे थे, महाराज पृथु पहले तो अश्वमेध यज्ञ करते हैं, उसके बाद में ही डज Indradev takes the last Ashwa, and then he wants to fight for that, but then Shambhu Manu gives him advice not to fight, and then Lord Vishnu appears in the yajna which he is doing. Yeah, and then Lord Vishnu appears with Lord Indra, and Indradev asks for Kshama from Prithu Maharaj. After that, Lord Vishnu gives all the transcendental message to Prithu Maharaj. Then Prithu Maharaj comes back to his capital, and then there he gives message to all his praja, right? And essentially gives a bhakti message to all the praja, so that all the problems are taken care of once people are in bhakti. After that, what happens is, Sanat Kumars appear in front of Prithu Maharaj, and this is something Lord Vishnu had also informed him when Vishnu Bhagwan appeared in the yajna. So that's what we are reading right now. And they are talking about the 4 great sages, right? And whom are we talking about here? The 4 great sages. Who are the Sanat Kumars, right? Yeah. They have names, Sanak, Sankadik, like that, yeah? Mm-hmm. So 4 great sages were elder to Lord Shiva, because they appeared first from Lord Brahma. We had 4 sages appeared first, and then Lord Shiva appeared, right? And he's saying that when they were seated on the golden throne, they appeared just like fire blazing on an altar. Maharaj Prithu, out of his great gentleness and respect for them, began to speak with great restraint as follows. Yeah, so Prithu Maharaj speaks to Sanat Kumars, and pretty interesting purport here. So let's read that, Tarun.
The Kumaras are described herein as the elder brothers of Lord Shiva. When the Kumaras were born out of the body of Lord Brahma, they requested to get married and increase the population. In the beginning of the creation, there was a great need of population. Therefore, Lord Brahma was creating one son after another and ordering them to increase. However, when the Kumaras were requested to do so, they declined. They wanted to remain brahmachari throughout life and be engaged fully in the devotional service of the Lord. The Kumaras are called Neshtika Brahmachari, meaning they are never to marry. Because of the refusal to marry, Lord Brahma became so angry that his eyes became reddish. From between his eyes, Lord Shiva or Rudra appeared. The mode of anger is consequently known as Rudra. Lord Shiva also has a Sampradaya party known as the Rudra Sampradaya, and they are also known as Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah? So as we know, there are 4 sampradayas, right? One from Lord Shiva, one from Sanat Kumars, one from Goddess Lakshmi, and one from Lord Brahma. Yeah. Ajay?
Sure. Prithuruvacha. Aho achiritam kim me mangalam mangalayanaha. Yasya vo darsham hasri du darshanam cha yogibhya. King Prithu spoke. My dear great sages, auspiciousness personified, it is very difficult for even the mystic yogis to see you indeed. You are very rarely seen. I do not know what kind of pious activity I perform for you to grace me by appearing before me without difficulty. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Right? So Sanat Kumar darshan deta hai. So Prithu Maharaj is saying to all the Sanat Kumars that I don't know what kind of pious activity I perform to get darshan of Sanat Kumars. Yeah. And he's saying, of course, even Ashita the Durdarshanam cha yogi bhi hai. Yani bade yogi bhi, they don't get darshan of Sanat Kumars. So he's wondering what pious activity Prithu Maharaj did so that he can get this darshan. And again, so read this, Ajay.
Sure. When something uncommon happens in one's progressive spiritual life, it should be understood to be incurred by ajanta sukriti or pious activities beyond one's knowledge. To see personally the Supreme Personality of Godhead or His pure devotees is not an ordinary incident. When such things happen, they should be understood to be caused by previous pious activity as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.28. Yesham tav ant gatam papam jananam punya karmananam. One who is completely freed from all the resultant action of sinful activities and who is absorbed only in pious activities can engage in devotional service. Although Maharaja Prithu's life was full of pious activities, he was wondering how his audience with the Kumaras happened. He could not imagine what kind of pious activities he had performed. This is a sign of humility on the part of King Prithu, whose life was so full of pious activities that even Lord Vishnu came to see him and predicted that the Kumaras would also come. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. It's a very interesting thing which is mentioned here, like not everyone can engage in devotional service. It's not easy to get engaged in bhakti, right? And what he's saying is one who is completely freed from all the resultant actions of sinful activities and who is absorbed only in pious activities can engage in devotional service. Yeah, but I think slowly and slowly as we start doing devotional service, we get to the stage, where it takes us to the right path, essentially. And what is being mentioned is King Prithu was full of pious activities, right? To the extent where Lord Vishnu himself appeared to give him darshan, right? And then the Kumars appeared. So such was a powerful devotional service of Prithu Maharaj. What is being mentioned? Tarun?
Kim tasya durlabhantaram iha lokhe paratra cha yasya vipra prasidanti shivo vishnu cha sanugaha. Any person upon whom the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are pleased can achieve anything which is very rare to obtain in this world as well as after death. Not only that, but one also receives the favor of the auspicious Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu who accompany the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so this is what Prithu Maharaj is saying, because Sanat Kumars are like the highest Vaishnavas, right? And so you know what he's saying? He's saying that if of the highest Brahmins and Vaishnavas, if one receives the favor of the auspicious, if they are pleased, like if the Brahmins and Vaishnavas are pleased, then it says that they also receive the favor of Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva. Is what if Vaishnavas are happy with us, then we also get mercy of Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, is what is being mentioned, right? It's again a long purport, but let's read this again, Tarun.
The Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are the bearers of Lord Vishnu, the all auspicious, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Premanjana Chaturita Bhakti Vilochankena Santa Sadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindam Adi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami. The devotees, out of their extreme love for Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, always carry the Lord within their hearts. The Lord is already in the heart of everyone, but the Vaishnavas and the Brahmanas actually perceive and see him always in ecstasy. Therefore, Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are carriers of Vishnu. Wherever they go, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, or the devotees of Lord Vishnu are all carried. The four Kumaras are Brahmanas, and they visited the place of Maharaja Prithu. Naturally, Lord Vishnu and his devotees were also present. Under the circumstances, the conclusion is that when Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are pleased with a person, Lord Vishnu is also pleased. This is confirmed by Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura in his 8 stanzas on the spiritual master. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasadaha. By pleasing the spiritual master, who is both Brahmana and Vaishnava, one pleases the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased, then one has nothing more to achieve either in this world or after death. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So the final line says it all, that if the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased, which is by devotional service, then one has nothing more to achieve either in this world or after death, right? Then it's all complete. Nevalakshate loko lokan paryatato apiyan yatha sarvadrisham sarva atmanam ye asyahetvah. Prithu Maharaj continued, although you are traveling in all planetary systems, people cannot know you, just as they cannot know the super soul. Although he is within everyone's heart as the witness of everything, even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva cannot understand the super soul. The next, Ajay.
Sure. Adhna apite dhanya sadhu grih medhinah yadraha har varyantambutrin bhumishwar ravara. A person who is not very rich and is attached to family life becomes highly glorified when saintly persons are present in his home. The master and servants who are engaged in offering the exalted visitor water, a sitting place, and paraphernalia for reception are glorified, and the home itself is also glorified. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So see, the important part is when sadhu griha megina. See, in India, you can get some real good sadhus, and even in US also, right? But what is being mentioned is like the family life becomes highly glorified when saintly persons are present at his home. Yeah, so when saintly persons visit, right, the family life also becomes glorified. And Yeah, it says sadhu griha megina. Huh? So home itself is glorified, right? If the saints visit the home itself is also glorified, is what is mentioned. Yeah. The next one, Tarun.
Laya Dhruma Vetasya Ariktakila Sampada Yadgrasa Turta Padiya Padartirtya Vijayajita. On the contrary, even though full of all opulence and material prosperity, any householder's house where the devotees of the Lord are never allowed to come in, and where there is no water for washing their feet, is to be considered a tree in which all venomous serpents live. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Ajay.
Swagatam vo dvij shrestha yad vratani mumukshavaha charanti shraddhaya dhira bala eva brihanti cha. Maharaja Prithu offered his welcome to the four Kumaras, addressing them as the best of the Brahmans. He welcomed them, saying, from the beginning of your birth, you strictly observe the vows of celibacy, and although you are experienced in path of liberation, you are keeping yourselves just like small children. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So Swagatam, Prithu Maharaj is of course welcoming all the four Kumars. And as we know, four Kumars always wanted to remain children, right? They never wanted to age, but they were always, transcendentally self-realized. Yeah. So, yeah. And there's some few things which are mentioned is, in other words, everyone should offer respect to a Vaishnava without considering his source of birth. Vaishnave jati buddhi hai. No one should consider a Vaishnava in terms of birth. The Vaishnava is always the best of the Brahmans, and as such one should offer all respects to Vaishnava, not only as a Brahman, but as the best of the Brahmans. Hare Krishna, Chino.
Krishna, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, same here. Nice to see you. Yeah, padhoge?
Okay. Kachan na kushalam nata indriyartha vedinam vyasana vap etasmin patitanam svakarmabhe. Prithu Maharaj inquired from the sages about persons entangled in this dangerous material existence because of their previous actions. Could such persons, whose only aim is sense gratification, be blessed with any good fortune? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So now what is going on, right? So Prithu Maharaj has welcomed Sanat Kumars, right? And Sanat Kumars, of course, we know they are the best in Vairagya, they are Brahmachari, and they are best in devotional service as well. So what Prithu Maharaj is doing is he's inquiring from them, he's asking them, what people who are entangled in this dangerous material existence. And who are these people? Like us, right? So we are all engaged, entangled into this material existence, right? And why are we entangled? Because of our previous actions, right? So karma, law of karma, and based on the reactions, and this has been going on for we don't know how many ages, right? How many millions of years or whatever, because the soul is eternal. So we have always been there, right? The soul is Satchidanand, correct? So the soul has always been there, but we have been taking various bodies. So now, why? Because of the previous karma. So what Prithu Maharaj is asking from the Sanat Kumars is, how can the persons, right, those kind of persons, yeah, be relieved from that? Could such persons whose only aim is sense gratification, right, that's what this world is all about, sense gratification, be blessed with any good fortune? How can those people get good fortune? Indriya Arthavedinam, people who are entangled into the materialistic world? How can they get any good fortune? Is the question which Prithu Maharaj is asking Sanat Kumars. Yeah. And as you can see here, right? If you look at this material world is said to be padam yad vipadam na tesham. Yeah, vipadam na tesham, dangerous in every step. Everyone in this material world is struggling hard for sense gratification. Clearing all these points, Maharaj Prithu inquired from the four Kumars about the fallen conditioned souls who are rotting in this material world due to their past bad or inauspicious activities. Is there any possibility for their auspicious spiritual life? Is what Prithu Maharaj is asking to Sanat Kumars, right? Prithu Maharaj is the highest devotee, so he doesn't need to know that, but he's asking for all of the conditioned souls like us, that is there any possibility for their auspicious spiritual life? In this verse, the word Indriya Artha Vedinam is very significant. It indicates persons whose only aim is to satisfy the senses. They are also described as Patitanam or fallen. Only one who stops all activities for sense gratification is considered to be elevated. Another significant word is Swakaram Bhi. One who becomes fallen by dint of his own past bad activities. Everyone is responsible for his fallen condition because of his own activities, on karma. Yeah. When activities are changed to devotional service, one's auspicious life begins, right? So the most important part mentioned here is when activities are changed to devotional service, right? We do so many activities during the day, but when we start doing the devotional service, some of the activities at least, one's auspicious life begins, is what is being mentioned here, right? Ajay?
भवत्सु कुशल प्रश आत्मा रामेषु नेष्यते कुशला यत्र न सन्ति mati viteyaha. Prithu Maharaj continued, my dear sirs, there is no need to ask about your good and bad fortune because you are always absorbed in spiritual bliss. The mental concoction of the auspicious and inauspicious does not exist in you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Prithu Maharaj is telling this to Sanat Kumars that they are beyond everything, right? They are totally self-realized souls. And so what happens when that happens? They don't have any like auspicious and inauspicious understanding. For them, everything is auspicious. Yeah. And again, a long purport, but let's just read this much. Tarun?
By material association, we lose our spiritual consciousness. Consequently, there is the question of the auspicious and inauspicious. For those who are Atmarama or self-realized, have transcended such questions. The Atmaramas or self-realized persons, gradually making further progress in spiritual bliss, came to a platform of association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the perfection of life. In the beginning, the Kumaras were self-realized impersonalists, but gradually they became attracted to the personal pastimes of the Supreme Lord. The conclusion is that for those who are always engaged in the devotional service of the personality of Godhead, the duality of the auspicious and inauspicious does not arise. Prithu Maharaj is therefore asking about auspiciousness not for the sake of the Kumaras, but for his own sake. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Tadham krita vishambha surido vastapasvinam samprichebha etashmin kshema kinajasa bhavet. So I am completely assured that personalities like you are the only friends for persons who are blazing in the fire of material existence. I therefore ask you, how in this material world can we very soon achieve the ultimate goal of life? Yeah. So Prithu Maharaj is asking Sanat Kumar to explain that how can one achieve the ultimate goal of life? Ultimate goal of life is what?
Attain moksha.
Yeah, but in this case, not even attain moksha, but to be a greatest devotee and be able to go back to Godhead, or in any condition you are still being in the devotional service. Right? That is the perfection of life. That is the ultimate goal of life. Yeah. It says here, right? Like the conclusion is that all persons in this material world are suffering from material pains. Right? So that we know, there is no argument about that, right? And if one wants to get rid of them, he must associate with saintly persons, pure devotees of the Lord, and chant the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That is the only auspicious way for materialistic persons, right? So as we chant more and more, associate with devotees more and more, our devotional service increases, right? And that's how we start getting towards the purest of life, right? Varun?
Vaktyam atmavatam atma bhagwanam atma bhavana swanam anugrahayena mam siddha rupi charatayajah. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always anxious to elevate the living entities who are his parts and parcels, and for their special benefit, the Lord travels all over the world in the form of self-realized persons like you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah? So Prithu Maharaj is essentially saying that people like Sanat Kumar, saints like Sanat Kumars are the ones who are sent by the Lord to teach the transcendental knowledge to this world. Right? Is how Prithu Maharaj is talking to Sanat Kumars, and he's saying that according to Vaishnava philosophy, a devotee is as good as Narayan, not by becoming Narayan, but by becoming the most confidential servant of Narayan. Like not declaring themselves Bhagwan, right? But making sure Bhagwan is understood by everyone else. Right? Such great personalities act as spiritual masters for the benefit of the people in general. And as such a spiritual master who is preaching the glories of Narayan should be accepted as Narayan and be given all respects due him. Yeah. Chinu?
Matre uvacha. Pritos tat suktam akarnya saram sustu vitam madhu. Smeyamana eva pritya kumara pratyuvacha. The great sage Maitreya continued, thus Sanat Kumar, the best of the Salvats, after hearing the speech of Prithu Maharaj, which was meaningful, appropriate, full of precise words, and very sweet to hear, smiled with full satisfaction and began to speak as follows. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yeah. So what's going on right now is Prithu Maharaj asks Sanat Kumar to explain how the conditioned souls can get out of here, right? And get the benefit of spiritual association. And now Sanat Kumars are going to speak. Yeah. Kumar hai, Prityu Vach hai. So we'll see how Sanat Kumars tells, gives the transcendental knowledge. And as we can see, it says Prithu Maharaj talks before the Kumars were very laudable because of so many qualifications. A speech should be composed of selected words, very sweet to hear and appropriate to the situation. Such speech is called meaningful. All these good qualifications are present in Prithu Maharaj's speech because he is a perfect devotee. It is said, Yosha yasti bhaktire bhagvatya akinchana sarver gunas tatra samaste surah. For one who has unflinching devotional faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is engaged in his service, all good qualities become manifest in that person. Yeah. Thus the Kumars were very much pleased and Sanat Kumars began to speak as follows. Okay, so the good qualities start manifesting by itself. Ajay?
Sanat Kumar Uvacha Sadhu Prashtim Maharaj Sarva Bhut Hitatmana Bhavata Vidusha Chapi Sadhunam Matiri Drishi. Sanat Kumar said, "My dear King Pithu, I am very nicely questioned by you. Such questions are beneficial for all living entities, especially because they are raised by you, who are always thinking of good of others. Although you know everything, you ask such questions because that is the behavior of saintly persons. Such intelligence is befitting your position. Hare Krishna."
Hare Krishna. So read this, Chino.
Maharaj Prithu was well conversant in transcendental science. Yet he presented himself before the Kumaras as one ignorant of it. The idea is that even if a person is very exalted and knows everything, before his superior he should present questions. For instance, although Arjuna knew all the transcendental science, he questioned Krishna as if he did not know. Similarly, Prithu Maharaj knew everything, but he presented himself before the Kumaras as if he did not know anything. The idea is that questions by exalted persons put before the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotees are meant for the benefit of the general people. Therefore, sometimes great personalities put themselves in that position and inquire from a higher authority because they're always thinking of the benefit of others.
Hare Krishna. Arun?
Sangama khalu sadhunam ubheshayam cha sammatah yatsambha shana sampradasana sarvesha vitanoti shama. When there is a congregation of devotees, their discussions, questions and answers become conclusive to both the speaker and the audience. Thus, such a meeting is beneficial for everyone's real happiness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, it's a congregation of devotees. Then those answers and questions actually result in satisfactory transcendental knowledge, in fact. Okay. So again, a very long purport, but let's just read the last one. Ajay?
One second, I think.
You want me to zoom?
Sorry. It got minimized and I didn't know how to maximize it. The word Ubhayesham can be described in many ways. Generally, there are two classes of men, the materialists and the transcendentalists. By hearing discussion between devotees, both the materialists and transcendentalists are benefited. The materialist is benefited by association with devotees because his life then becomes regulated so that his chance of becoming a devotee or making the present life successful for understanding the real position of the living entity is increased. When one takes advantage of this, or he may be liberated completely and go back home, back to Godhead. The conclusion is that if one participates in a discussion of devotees, he is both materially and spiritually benefited. The speaker and the audience are both benefited, and the karmis and janans are benefited. The discussion of spiritual matters amongst devotees is beneficial for everybody, without exception. Consequently, the Kumaras admitted that not only was the king benefited by such a meeting, but the Kumaras were as well. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Arun?
Asyatyev Rajan Bhavato Madhudrishihi Madhudrishaha Padaravasindasya guna nu vadane ratir durapa vidunoti nashiti ki kamam kasayam kashayam malmantaran manam atmanam. Sanat Kumara has continued, my dear king, you already have an inclination to glorify the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such attachment is very difficult to achieve, but when one has attained such unflinching faith in the Lord, it automatically cleanses lusty desires from the core of the heart. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Sanat Kumar is answering question of Maharaj Prithu, and the question was, how can the conditioned souls, right, be relieved from this materialistic world? And that's what Sanat Kumars are answering, that of course Prithu Maharaj himself had the inclination to glorify the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? It says here, Pada Andarvish Arvindasya Guna Anuvadane. Yeah. But such attachments are very difficult to achieve. What is the attachment? Is very difficult to achieve? Is the attachment to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? But it says, this is very important, right? What it says here is, but when one has attained such unflinching faith in the Lord, it automatically cleanses the lusty desires from the core of the heart. Yeah. So this is what is being mentioned here. Kamam, kasayam, malam, antaratmanam. Yeah. So when somebody has developed the unflinching faith in the Lord, right? Devotional service has started, and it automatically cleanses the lusty desires from the core of the heart. Right? And it's kind of a, but let's read the paragraph. Chenu.
Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hritakarna rasayana katha taj jo sanad asva apavarga vartmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramisyati. By association with devotees, dirty things within the heart of a materialistic man are gradually washed away by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As silver becomes shiny by being polished, the heart of a materialistic person is cleansed of lusty desires by the good association of devotees. Actually, the living being has no connection with this material enjoyment nor with lusty desires. He is simply imagining or dreaming while asleep. But by association of pure devotees, he is awakened. And immediately the spirit soul is situated in his own glory by understanding his constitutional position as the eternal servant of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Ajay? Ajay?
Yeah. Prithu Maharaj was already a self-realized soul. Therefore, he had a natural inclination to glorify the activities of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Kumaras assured him that there was no chance of his falling victim to the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. In other words, the process of hearing and chanting about the glories of Lord is the only means to clarify the heart of material contamination. By the process of karma, Gyan and Yoga, no one will succeed in driving any contamination from the heart. But once a person takes to the shelter of the lotus feet of Lord by devotional service, automatically all dirty things in the heart are removed without difficulty. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. That's the message for today, is that once a person takes to the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, right, by devotional service, automatically all dirty things in the heart are removed without difficulty, right? Because it's very, very difficult. Even somebody becomes a big jnani, right, or big tapasvi, still it's very, very difficult to get rid of all the desires. But once the devotional service starts, then it's possible. So I think we are going to pause here. It's 10:56. And since it's all about devotional service, we will hear a nice kirtan. Yeah. And then we will see you tomorrow at 10. So let's do the kirtan.
Hey Govinda, hey Gopal, hey Govinda, hey Gopal, hey Govinda, hey Gopal, hey Govinda, hey Gopal, hey Govinda, hey Gopal. Hey Govinda, hey Gopal. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya,
All right, nice bhajan, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a devotional service. So we'll see you again tomorrow at 10.
Yep.
So,
See you tomorrow.
Hare
Hare Krishna.